Gray, hey Gray, are you there? I haven't seen you in weeks.
More work. Everything must be perfect. Everything must be perfect.
Isn't this the drawing you started like 2 months ago?
No, I started it. Wait, where did the snow go?
It's April and season 6 already started. Okay, you need some distraction. Let's review an episode together.
No, I have to finish this. Hello everybody! For those who don't know me, I am Grey Silvermane, the gentle colt of Canterlot. So we got our first CMC episode after they got their cutie marks. And in my humble opinion, it's a pretty good one. We even get to see their first club meeting after they got their marks.
Wait, their first meeting? How much time has passed since Crusaders of the Lost Mark?
According to my calculations, based on Cadence's pregnancy, it could be anywhere between 5 to 6 months.
Time in Equestria doesn't make any sense. Have you watched my video about moons?
No arguing there. Also, it feels a bit like it should be the third episode of this season.
What do you mean?
Well, usually the third episode of the season reintroduces us with the slice of life formula of the show, as well as the group dynamics. Often these focus on one character having some sort of mental distress that puts them into situations where they interact with the rest of the cast, like Ticketmaster, Too Many Yankee Pies, or even to some extent Castlemania. This episode felt a bit like the CMC version of Lesson Zero, but I feel free to say that it wasn't a carbon copy of it.
Yes, they limit the Lesson Zero parallels to the first act, which also serves as a nice introduction. Fact is, most ponies don't have as much of a problem with the cutie mark, and it was kinda amusing to see them desperately looking for a cutie mark problem, like Twilight looked for a friendship problem back then, but unlike Twilight they actually find someone to help. I never thought that we would ever get so many lines out of Bark Biceps.
This image looks just wrong for so many reasons.
At this point, the episode manages to play a little bit with the audience expectations. One can almost assume that this episode will be about him, but they rather use him to showcase that their lives is in fact not all about the talents to help other ponies. But then the real plot kicks in, the fact that the Cutie Mark Crusaders mainly stuck together thanks to their shared ambitions to find a talent, and that they don't really share many similar interests. Up to this point, they always did everything together to get their marks and tried everything as a group, even though they didn't necessarily enjoy it. While they all had their own characteristics, they were treated as a group most of the time and less like 3 individual ponies. This is something many viewers feared as well, that they would lose their individuality now that they also have almost the same cutie mark. But this episode shows that Scootaloo still loves the scooter and Sweetie Belle still has a thing for singing. Just look at the notes.
Apparently, Sweetie Belle considers Beethoven's 5th Symphony as easy mode.
Looks more like Mozart to me, but then again, I'm no musician. Apple Bloom on the other paw still shows great interest in alchemy. I really like the fact that Sakura made a small cameo in this episode as her apparent teacher. Apple Bloom was the first one to befriend Sakura, and her interest in alchemy isn't anything new either, but they didn't share a single scene since the Cutie Box back in season 2. Anyway, it's really good to see that each of the Crusaders actually has their own interest and makes them unique, even though their friends might not like the same activity.
I agree. You may be very close with your friends, but you don't always share all their interests, even if they are your best friends. You have to learn to accept their individuality and learn to enjoy your time on your own, or make more friends. Now, some people may ask why Apple Bloom was the one who got the most hung up on this, and while I agree that the CMC don't have the de facto leader, you can easily consider Apple Bloom to be the original Crusader, and she would be the most attached to the idea of the Crusaders and their unity. Not to mention, out of all 3, she has the history of either getting most worked up about things, as well as blowing things out of proportion, whether it be getting her cutie mark in Call of the Cutie, or competing in the Sisterhood Social last season. This is one of her personality traits, same as Twilight and even Applejack, and those are hard to get rid of. However, being refocused by her friends helps her to get her grasp on reality back.
You can see it at the very beginning. She's the one who still wants to go crusading even though they already has their mark, simply because she's used to it. She's the one who identifies herself through her friends the most. It is easy to see why, as she seemingly didn't have many friends before they founded the Crusaders, and was bullied because she lacked a cutie mark. One of her major fears in Bloom of Blue was to lose them. She fears to be alone again, which explains why she is desperately looking for an activity where she doesn't have to be alone.
This is why I think she doesn't go to see Zecora or her family. She's looking to fill a very specific void that they don't exactly fit into. But lo and behold, a new opportunity arrives. If you can't have fun with the friends you already have, you can always make more friends in new places. Like a dance class. Also, Russian dancing ponies, everyone! And the first dance that Applebloom tries to do is the tango?
Dancing! It is the forbidden dance!
Jeez, maybe those notes Sweetie Belle had really were the easy mode. But she did attract the attention of the codenamed Tendertaps, who looks a bit like a male version of Scootaloo, and suffers from a case of stage fright.
What was that?
I think the fandom just got a brand new ship. Better call Admiral British.
Anyway, of course Applebloom doesn't realize right away that she has a cutie mark problem at Hoof because she's too occupied pitying herself. Thankfully all she needs is a reminder of her friends who will still do stuff together to realize how dumb she acted.
But before you can blink, the Cutie Mark Crusaders come to the rescue. They put together an impromptu act for Tendertaps to show off his tap dancing skills. Now, I've heard some people frown on the fact that the stage fright thing was used previously, but here's the thing. Stage fright is not exclusive to Fluttershy. Other people might get it as well, and they might have to deal with it differently. So, I don't mind if they solve a similar problem in a different episode, in a different context, especially since this one wasn't the main focus of the episode. And thus the Cutie Mark Crusaders help out another pony with their Cutie Mark. The Crusaders learn that they can act as individuals to expand their own interests, just as Applebloom help out Tendertaps and discover that she enjoys dancing.
This episode actually mirrors the lesson of the Scaremaster to a certain degree. The Scaremaster shows that it's okay not to be part of every group activity. This episode rolls with it and adds that it's actually okay to look for a hobby your friends don't like and even encourage it to a certain degree, which is pretty good as it often seems in children's TV that you always have to do things with your friends. Another thing we learn in this episode is that it's completely okay to pursue a hobby you aren't exactly good at, as long as you have fun with it. MLP really likes to play the Destiny card and drops the word talent really often. Most episodes are more about what a character is good at, and thanks to Cutie Marks it is often implied that you should only do what you can. This episode makes it for once clear that you can enjoy things you don't have a natural talent for, like Applebloom's wish to dance. Something that actually goes back all the way to season 1, she was the one who wanted to dance during the showstoppers, even though she is actually pretty bad. Or Sweetie Belle's newfound hobby of crushing. But now let's wrap things up.
Overall, while not spectacular, this was a pretty good episode. It might seem pretty low-key after Crusaders of the Lost Mark, but it can be expected. After a great life-changing event, you need to go back to everyday life and learn to live with the changes it brought. The song was nice, although not very memorable. There were a few fun Easter eggs, and I can see the animation stuff fixed the size of the Cutie Marks, cause before they look kind of smaller than they should be. The girls' voices sound older, and I do hope that at some point we get to see them age at least a bit. But the most important thing about this episode were the feels and the morals. While you and your friends have different interests, it doesn't mean you have to split apart. Plus, I hope to see more Tendertaps in the future, and while at it, I'm curious who'll be the next pony that needs the help of the Crusaders.
I have to agree there. While there were some funny moments, this episode was hardly a comedic highlight, but it makes up for it in the writing department as it finally manages to differentiate the Crusaders. something that was really necessary after Crusaders of the Lost Mark to show that they are still their own person despite the fact that they have the similar cutie marks. It teaches a valuable lesson about individuality and fun that is often neglected by other shows. Even in MLP, lessons tend to imply that it's all about your friends and that you should embrace your talents. The enjoyment of alone time and activities you are in particular good with are often neglected in shows like this, and it's refreshing to see My Little Pony to tackle such a topic. But what about you? Did you like this episode? Anything that bothered you? Do you ship Tenderbloom? Let us know in the comments. I am Tricky Fox.
And I'm Grey Silvermane. See you guys later. And I need to get back to work.
Celestia, you really need to learn how to chill. Anyway, stay foxy.
Sly as a fox, you got me under your spell. But you know I'll never tell that I know you know so well. Sometimes you can be too smart for your own good, and you just outfoxed yourself the way I knew you would.